And that caused them to mean a demarcation line to be divided because these two empires was divided. When you get into the history of Kush, you have a Kushite empire that exists in like India and a Kushite empire that exists within Africa, and it was divided amongst each other. I don't want to go off topic, but I'm giving you the idea what that's about. People want to say it's dealing with Atlantic Ocean and all that, and I'm not saying cannot be true, but they keep it within the confines of Africa. There were a division between the Kushites in India and the Kushites in Africa, and it was a demarcation line divided between the two. There's another book by J. Rogers. He explains this in detail. I got it also in my notes. I got the book on my back. He explains this whole thing about the demarcation line and the separation between how Ethiopia was separated. But I'll get into that at a later and greater. Islam?
I was there though when you talking about Atlantic Ocean. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, but like, I'm not saying that's not true, but like I said, Jay Rogers, he really explains it in one of his books. Okay. He really explains, it's about Ethiopia. He explains how it was divided and stuff like that. It's a real good book. It coincides with it. All right, so the area called West Africa is full of Arabs who started immigrating to the area from the earliest of time. The 11th century historian and geographer Abdullah el-Bakr as saying, a remnant of the Umayyad clan of the Quraysh who are descendants of Umayyad ibn Abdul Shem who escaped from the Abbasids. Descendant of the Abbasids is Ibn Abdullah al-Muttalib, the uncle of the Prophet Muhammad, immigrated to the southeastern region of Lake Chad and settled there because they found the area agreeable, being far away from the danger of the Abbasids. In the 750 AD, the tribes of Chad, Lake Chad is recorded as being one of their place that the so-called Black Americans were taken to America from. So again, I went through this last week. The Umayyads were the first dynasty who went and conquered Spain. When you read about the Umayyads in their description with King
Frank. Said Frank. King Frank?
Nah, he was a Frank. He describes the Umayyads as being dark-skinned, and when they came to conquer, only thing you was able to recognize was the white of their teeth. So he described them as being very so-called black, and this was the first dynasty that went and conquered the Umayyad dynasty. But when you read here in 750 AD, they had problems with the Abbasids. His name is King Roland. They had beef with the Abbasids, which was another clan, and they had problems with them. So they fled from being persecuted by the Abbasids into Lake Chad. Lake Chad is in Africa near like Nigeria and stuff like that. So they began to amalgamate these so-called black Arabs, amalgamated with these people there, and these were some of the people that was taken from Africa and brought to America as slaves. That means that the so-called American Negro has this Umayyad bloodline, which are so-called black Arabs. So, I want to put this on our people's mind is that, again, I'm not denying that we don't have a Hebrew Israelite ancestry, but we cannot deny that the Arab bloodline played a major role in West African tribes, and a lot of us are of original black Arab descendancy. You found something? Oh, okay. The original Arab descendancy, Islam. So that's why I said in my demonstration, you Israelites are really Arabs, because the Arab bloodline, original black Arab bloodline, permeates all throughout West Africa through the original West African tribes.
That's right.
And it's also a place in the Bible, I'm gonna get it, where it's a person in the Bible who says that he's an Israelite and an Israelite at once. But we're gonna get into that. I went into the Akan, and the Akan being descended with the Ashanti, and that they had Elamite blood in them, and from Ghana and so forth. We went through that. We went through the Mandinga, and the Mandinga being of the Elamites and the the Grimaldi bloodline. So we got that, right, Moors?
Islam.
And dealt with those from Sudan, so forth, right?
Islam.
I'm gonna show y'all again the original people from Sudan. This is a brother from the Sudan. He's what they call the Ansar, the aiders of Allah. And you see his turban? Huh?
Yours.
So I can hear you.
Like yours.
Again, I do things in science. My turban is tied the same way as the Ansars from the Sudan, who are the Moors, who are descendants of the Grimaldis, the original Cushite Hamitic stock, as well as they got the tribe of Dan and the tribe of Judah within their bloodline. When me and the Sheik one time went to a store, the Arab brother there said, "You have your turban tied like the Ansars of the Sudan."
Bear witness.
So that's the way I tie my turban. I tie my turban that way. That's the way I was taught to tie my turban, is that way. So this is the original, this is one of the original Arabs. Islam?
Islam.
Now, but I sent the more picture, but he was not able to print this out. But there is a group of Muslims called the Alawites. The Alawites. My phone is over there. The Alawites. The Alawites are a group of people who are descendants from Ali. Why are we mentioning Ali for? Who's Ali?
Ali's the.
Talk up more. Come on, you talking like trying to sound sexy or something.
Can you dig it? Ali is descendant of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Yeah, you know, like how he's descendant. You remember?
Fatima, his daughter.
Nah, he married Fatima. Yeah. All right. So we recognize when you deal historically with Islam, we're gonna recognize Ali as the true successor of Muhammad because he has children with Fatima, who had his son Hassan and Hussein, which what they call the Ahlul Bayt, the house of the Prophet. So the Sunni Muslims, they attacked the Ahlul Bayt, and they're the ones that got this madness going on today. But it's the Ahlul Bayt, the family of Muhammad, that we recognize through Ali and his sons. So the Alawites, they are a group who are descendants of Ali, the son of Abdul Talib. Ali, the son of Abdul Talib, is the cousin and the son-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad. He's the cousin and son-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad. So he's the cousin of the Prophet Muhammad and the son-in-law because he married his daughter Fatima. Islam? All people who claim to be descendants of the Prophet must be descendants from Ali, the son of Abdul Talib. The purity of Ali's lineages definitely is unquestionable. Al-Sa'id, the famous scholar of the 14th century, described Ali. Now, this is how they describe Ali. This is a historian of the 14th century. Hold this for me. Yeah, the Al-White picture. Nah, it was before that. I said that. Nah, she went over this up more. Yeah, that's it right there. No, I know that's one of the first ones I sent you. Yeah. So, come close. These are the descendants of the Alawites, who are descendants of Ali, the Prophet Muhammad cousin. Do you look like a European or pale Arab that you see today? Kind of dark, right? You can pass that to them. That is a descendant of the Alawites. They are descendants of Ali. Now let's see what they said. Ali as husky, bald hair, medium height, large, leaning towards shortness, a pot belly, large bearded with a beard that for all that is between his shoulders, white bearded as if it was cotton, and black skinned. Now we just show a picture of the Alawites who claim to be the descendant of Ali. Don't that description look like the person we just showed?
Islam.
Well, when I was younger, Iman Isa Ahadi Al-Mahdi, who's known to as Dr. York, who take a lot, at that time when I grew up in the 80s, he used to draw pictures of a lot of the prophets in the Bible and the Quran, and he used to draw them as being so-called black, so we could have an idea that we could start looking at seeing the prophets as being so-called black and not European. And this was one of the pictures that he would draw of Ali. This is a picture that he drew in his books of Ali. He wasn't too far off with the description that these Alawites said about Ali. Islam? So these so-called Arabs are what they call black, they're Moors. So he says black-skinned. Ibn said, a famous scholar of the 9th century, reported that the following from Ishaq ibn Abdullah. I asked Abdul Jafar Muhammad ibn Ali what Ali looked like. He replied he was black-skinned man with a big, heavy eyes, pot belly, bald, and he leaned towards shortness. So this is the description of him. They describe him as a so-called black man. He's a Moor. So if he's the cousin of Muhammad, from the same tribe in the son-in-law, if Muhammad is a so-called black man who's a Moor, Ali is a so-called black man or Moor. And this is a description that the Alawites had given of Ali, who's descendants of Ali. And we just showed a picture of how they look, and they don't look like some so-called pale Arabs.
That's right.
Islam? And if you notice, the turban is the turban of the Ansar turban. This is how I recommend y'all most to learn how to tie your turban if you do decide to wear a turban. And it's also white. And we dealt with the people from the Wolof people. We said that they were descendants of the Himyarites, remember? This is Sheikh Ahmadu Baba, who's the Wolof. And this is one of the sheikhs in West Africa, Sheikh Ahmadu Baba, from the Wolof people, who will be a descendant of the Himyarites. Islam?
Senegalese, right? What's Senegalese?
Yeah, Senegal, yeah.
Senegal.
Thank you. So you have Zabir ibn Bakr, who died in 869 AD, the grandson of Zabir ibn Awad. The comparison of the cousin of the prophet said, Musa ibn Abdullah ibn Hassan ibn Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abdul Talib was black-skinned. He was nicknamed Musa the Moor. He was nicknamed Musa the Moor. The clan of Mansa Musa, the king of Mali, who lived in the 14th century, was descended from him. Mansa Musa was descendant of this Moor, this so-called black Arab. Historians of Islam, Al-Fazl says that the brother of Musa, Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Hussein ibn Hassan ibn Ali ibn Abdul Talib was black-skinned and huge. He was black-skinned and was well known that he was a pure, unmixed Arab.
Teach.
The Arabs is not what the Arabs, the original Arabs, look like us.
Islam.
He once had a disagreement with Abdul Jafar al-Mansur concerning the Khalifa. Khalifa is the successor. You pass it out like a Khalifaship, a successor. He says he has a disagreement concerning that Khalifa. Abdul Jafar al-Mansur was not a pure Arab. Muhammad, on the other hand, was a pure Arab. He felt that he should rightfully be the Khalifa because he was of the pure Arab descendant. Then Abdul Jafar from his father's side. Abdul Jafar al-Mansur was descended from Al-Abbas, the uncle of the Prophet, but his mother was a Berber slave girl. This black-skinned Muhammad ibn Abdullah, on the other hand, was a descendant from the Prophet Muhammad through Ali. Muhammad ibn Abdullah said we are in the right of fathers of Ali, was the Imam. How did you inherit the rule which belongs to the children of Ali? He was close related or relationship to anyone better than he who I am very closely related to. Meaning that the Prophet Muhammad, I am from the best of the bin Hashim, the branch of the tribe of the Quraysh, and the Prophet Muhammad is descended from the father side, from any mother side, in my father's side. So he's saying that you're not of the pure, you're not even of the descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. I'm a descendant of Ali. I'm a pure Arab, and you're not. So how can you be the Khalifa when I come from the line of the Prophet Muhammad? That's when you're dealing with the Ahlul Bayt from the family of Muhammad. So when the Moor talked about the children of the Levites, how they became priests, it was passed down from where? From father to son. And the children of Israel, the kingship was passed down from father to son. This still went through the time of the Prophet Muhammad. That's why we recognize the Ahlul Bayt, the descendants of Ali, and we don't recognize Abu Bakr, who are the suitors who want to overthrow the Ahlul Bayt and kill the Ahlul Bayt and destroy the Prophet Muhammad's family. That's why Prophet Ali used the title Ali, connecting us back to the Ahlul Bayt, the descendants of Ali, these pure so-called black Arabs, these original Moors. And that's why it says that none of us will carry the title Ali unless you're part of Prophet Noble Judy's family. Y'all don't get this.
Work it.
We most only carry the title El or Bey, not Ali, not Pasha, not none of these things. It's El or Bey. That's it. Only Prophet Noble Judy's family carry the title Ali. Why? Because this title Ali goes back to the Ahlul Bayt. It goes back to the pure Arab descendant of Prophet Muhammad. And I could say something about Noble Jew Ali, the Prophet, and Muhammad, but that might be a lot above a lot of Moors' heads, so I'm not going to even get into that right now. Islam? So again, we are the pure Arab, the original Arab. A lot of the West African tribes has this Arab bloodline, and we can't escape this, and it is what it is. This is a Himyarite sheikh. This is a Himyarite sheikh, a dark Arab, and you see he has a turban on. Put the pictures up, my bad. That's a Himyarite. From southern Yemen. original Arab. He's not of the Semitic stock, he's of the Hamitic stock. Islam?
Islam.
How much time I got? What time it is?
2:15.
2:15.
Man, it's early. So I got some more to go into. Anybody need any clarity? Ask a question. I know I'm saying maybe terms you might not be familiar with, you know, but I'm showing you the pictures of the original Arabs, how they migrated to Africa is in accordance with chapter 47. So if anybody look at my previous demonstration, they can't say that, oh, this Moor is going off. I showed you a reference in J. Rogers' book of the Elamites, not the Edomites, Elamites, that they were, you know, so-called Negroes, which is a misnomer for Moors that lived in Persia. I showed you a picture of how they looked. I've been showing you a picture to coincide with the information I've been giving y'all. Islam?
Islam.
Now we have to understand these terms. When you're dealing with Arabic in the ancient languages, you gotta understand the term black, brown, and white. The term brown or white also have different meanings today. In the past, the term brown meant dark skin. Most of the people in the area called Africa, south of the Sahara, are brown. Africa is called the brown continent. Most so-called black Americans are brown. Will we agree with that?
Islam.
The term white meant he had a pure noble essence, or that he had a nice smooth complexion with a light brown undertone. So when you read Arab scholars writing and they describe Muhammad and Hadith as being white, it's not talking about his complexion being what you call today a white person today. It meant that he has a pure noble essence. He has a smooth complexion with a light brown undertone, okay? It's very important that you understand me there, because many people mistaken believe that the Arabs were white, quote unquote, because of the lack of knowledge of the meaning of white. In Arabic language, Al-Jaz, Arab writer in the 8th century, who the Arabs say that someone is white, they don't mean white skin. They meant that the person had a pure noble essence. Give me key 93.
Purity.
So that's what it meant when they called Muhammad. You might read some writings by Arab scholars and they would have called Muhammad white, but it didn't mean white as his complexion. It meant that he was a pure noble essence with a light overtone, brown overtone. Because now we see that Muhammad, yeah, just focus on the camera more. We got this up here. All right, my G? Just relax, man. That's your job right there.
I try to be pure.
You know what I'm saying?
We got it.
I got two more up here, right?
Exactly.
Key 93. Will you define the word white?
White means purity. Purity means God. God means the ruler of the land.
That's right. White means purity. Purity means God. God means the ruler of the land.
Islam.
Islam. Question. So you're saying at that time, if they were describing the prophet as white, that term, as we know today, is more of a modern term. At that time, it didn't have the same connotation.
In the Arab world.
In the Arab world, there's no way white, they would make a connection with the complexion of the skin. Islam.
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 So now you have the term green. Green, this term was used to describe people whose complexion was quote unquote black. In the true essence of the word green and black was used interchangeably by Arabs in the past. Al-Jaz says that the Arabs call black things green. Ibn Manthur says black is also green, and green was used to describe the color of people. So green too is a dark complexion. Give me key 59 to 62. We're gonna get somewhere.
Islam.
Islam. With you.
What is the modern name given to their children? Asiatics. Who is guarding the holy city of Mecca today to keep the unbelievers away?
Angels.
Angels. What is the modern name for those angels?
Asiatics.
Asiatics. What is the shade of their skin?
Olive.
What color do olives come?
Green. Dark.
Black.
So when the Arab used the word green, it meant also black. It was interchangeable. So when the prophet is using these terms, our skin complexion is olive, if you don't have this type of understanding of language and mind frame, you're going to be thinking, oh, he's talking about green. But in the Arab world, green was interchangeable with somebody who had what we call black skin
Islam.
or dark skin. So those are interchangeable terms. So when we say our skin is olive, we're not wrong.
That's right.
According to the science. Islam?
Islam.
Red. Ibn Man, let me get this right. Ibn Man-Hour says, the expression, the red people, applies to a non-Arab because they're white skin, quote unquote, and because of their fact that most of them are fair skinned. He says that the Arabs used to call the non-Arab, such as the Romans and Persians and their neighbors. He says that the Arabs called the slaves red people. Most of the slaves of Arabia were quote unquote white or red. A scholar says red is the speech of the people from the Hijaz, meaning fair skin, and their color is rare amongst the Arabs. This is the meaning of saying he was a red man, as if he was one of the slaves. So in the Arab world, the term red or pale was associated with being a slave. It was associated with being a non-Arab. So today you see a lot of the pale skin, red skin Arabs, but that was not the complexion of the original Arab.
That's right.
The original Arab would be considered in the Arab world as being green, as being olive, as being dark skinned. So-called black, a Moor. You understand?
Islam.
With you.
So this was the division of the pale Arab, the red Arab against the Moor, the dark-skinned Arab, the original Arab. And again, the West African tribes, these migration of Arabs, so-called black Arabs, Canaanites, migrated over to Northern Africa, went into West Africa, and mixed in American with the indigenous tribe, have been known as the indigenous people there. And when I'm gonna go into the trans-Sahara slave trade too, Moors. Don't think that I'm not gonna show the ugly side to this. But I'm gonna show you the mind frame of these people who done this, because there were a lot of dark-skinned Moors who participated in the Sahara slave trade. And why did they participate in the slave trade? And what was the mind frame of these dark-skinned Arabs that participated in the Sahara slave trade? And why did they do what they do? And show that how your mind can become corrupted through indoctrination of thinking you feeling you better than other people due to certain things. I'm gonna show you that, and if you follow my demonstration, you're gonna see what I'm adding. Hadiths play a lot into the role of the mind frame of those who participated in the Sub-Saharan slave trade with so-called Africans. Because if you'll find Arab slave traders that's just as dark as the ones they enslaved, but they did not see themselves the same as them. Peace.
I was reading from your last week's demonstration about the Icon, the Ghana people. They basically had military generals. They was being enslaved and shipped, through battle, captured and shipped along with the slave trade. And when they was having the uprising rebellion over here in the North Americas, these were some of these military generals that was mixed in with the people here, stirring them up and getting them to rise up and fight, because they already was military minded. So they was organizing them, and they was sending them to like the West Indies and all that. But they was telling them, don't bring them. I forgot what they called them, but they was our kind. Don't bring them type of slaves, them enslaved people over here, because we can't control them. They stirring stuff up.
Yo, you know who goes good into this type of history when it comes to American warfare with the Moorish is Sheikh Tunde Sadat Ra'el. You know, when you come back, I know, because me and him been talking, he got some great information. And he's gonna go into, he goes into that, the whole wars over here, like that Moors are adept when it comes to that information. So I know when he come back, he's gonna go into a lot of that information. But what you're saying is definitely right. It wasn't a walk in the park when Europeans was over here enslaving us. Like we was beating them up for a long time.
Yeah.
The Emancipation Proclamation didn't come about because we was just taking it like that. We was fighting back, killing them like crazy.
Yeah,
Islam.
I didn't even look at it like that. Like these are actually military leaders in they tribes or whatever, and they wasn't.
Just like when you deal with the 80s with the drug game, when you had a lot of the drugs that came from Jamaica, they were people who fought against the government in Jamaica. They were basically assassins. When they came over here and got into the drug game, for them to kill somebody was nothing, because that's what they were already doing. It was in Jamaica back in the 80s. When the Jamaicans had they had it on smash. Like that's type of the mentality you got to think with the Khan and different warriors was brought over into America as slaves. They are warrior people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna be just taking it like that. Like nah, like I'm gonna just take that lion down. Islam.
Just like you're saying, even some of the slave owners, they realize certain slaves, they would come to certain areas to the point they will stop. It's like, yo, we don't even want them from that area, because they know they will come on as soon as they get off their boat and start wilding out, man.
Islam. So, anybody is familiar with Bilal ibn Rabah? Come on, y'all Muslims. Y'all don't know about who's Bilal?
Yeah.
That name sound familiar.
No.
You got it, more? Come on. We Muslims here. You on camera, more? The whole world looking at you right now. Bilal.
Come on, Mo.
He got it.
Say it.
Bilal, that's he was a slave, but that's the one that he chose to do he had a voice call the prayer, right? Call the prayer.
See, the more God, you gotta be confident more. You got it though. That was the more that called the prayer. Bilal was a tall, bushy-headed, so-called black Ethiopian Moor. He was said to be the prophet's